We live in a time where masculinity is shamed, and men don't know what it means to be a man. As a pastor and counselor, I've spent the better part of my life equipping and training others. My goal with this show is to translate my hard-earned experience into tools and tactics to help you become stronger as a man. This is the BraveCo podcast. I'm your host, Jason Vallotton.
All right, welcome back to the BraveCo podcast. This week, I'm here with Tim.
What's up, guys?
Dude, so some of you guys might know Tim, but a lot of you guys probably don't know Tim. Tim is in charge of our podcast. He's the guy that makes all this stuff happen behind the scenes. And man, we got a bunch of questions in, so we're doing Q&A today. And I just thought it would be cool if Tim and I just answer these together, have a dialogue about it. Mm-hmm. But Tim, why don't you give us like just a quick fact about your life?
Okay.
Give us like an embarrassing moment too. Okay. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, quick fact, I'm running.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been training for a 10K and that's been fun. I've been loving that.
Because you just started. We were doing some tiny habits practices as a team.
Right.
And one of the habits that you picked was to start running.
Right.
Which was what, 2 months ago?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you did a 5K.
Yep.
In honor of your brother.
Yep. Who
passed away.
Right.
Just share that a little bit.
Yeah, my brother, he unexpectedly passed away last October, and he loved to run. And so it was just one thing that kind of popped up where, man, I just thought, it'd be great to honor him, and he was a big 49ers fan too, so to do the run in San Francisco kind of felt like it just made sense. So did that, and then started training for a 10K, and we'll see where it takes me. But
super cool.
Yeah,
so proud of you. You've been married for how long?
4.5 years.
Yeah. You're a veteran, man.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling it. yeah, but learning a lot. Learning from you, learning from this podcast myself, that's kind of a fun thing about my job is that I edit these and
we get to learn.
Yeah, learn a lot. So, an embarrassing thing.
Do you have anything embarrassing?
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. I got seasick on one of our anniversary trips, in Cancun. And I had to, not only did I get seasick, I was vomiting in the scuba trip, right? So we went scuba diving and I was vomiting underwater. But when I got out, I had to do number 2.
Oh, what is number 2?
I had to poop, man.
Bad, huh?
Yeah, real bad. And so they didn't have a bucket. They didn't have anything for me. So they just gave me a rope to hold on to the boat, and I pooped in the ocean.
So you were on a boat scuba diving,
right?
And you were just so sick. Right. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to crap my pants.
Right. So
they're like, here's a rope, get into like chum the water.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, it was rough. So I was doing my thing, and then a whole crew of people were coming out from scuba diving. I didn't even look them in the eye or anything.
Yeah. So you're pooping while they're coming up?
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah. So
what a mess,
rough, man. And at that point, I didn't care. I was just trying to survive.
But hindsight,
yeah. Oh, it was funny looking back. Pretty funny, but embarrassing for sure. But yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay, well, everyone knows you,
right? That's
now.
Me. Yep.
And we just feel so tight.
Right. Well,
today we're going to dive into some questions and have some fun. I haven't even looked at these questions yet. That's the Scout's truth. Mm-hmm. And so I'm excited. I love questions. And if you guys have questions for us, you can always just DM us on Instagram, or you can email us, right?
Yeah.
What do they email to?
Could email admin@braveco.org.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right.
Cool. Let's start. All right. There was actually a good amount of questions on this one, so I kind of combined them. But how do you talk to your wife about sex life together without hurting her heart? How do you talk to your wife about trying different positions? It's been the same thing for a while.
Yeah. I think that in any conversation, that you want to go well, we have to start with the end in mind. And so to me, there's this rule, there's this principle. How you start a conversation will decide how it ends with 80% accuracy, which is totally true. Like I could say, hey, Tim, you're always upset and you always want things your way. Or I could say, hey, Tim, I love when we work together well. It's so much fun. Yeah. Can we work on this thing, right? Like same result. Like we want this thing, but how we present it, right? So if you come in like hard and are like, hey, I can't just like do the same position forever. You know, you're boring.
Right.
Obviously your wife's going to feel shame and she's going to feel defensive, or your husband, whatever. I don't know who's sent in this. Right. They're going to feel like they're not enough. And but what's the vision? Why? Like, why do you need a different experience? And so I would come into that conversation like, I love my time with you. Yeah. It's incredible. And I want to experience different things with you, whether it's in life, exploring different places, or whether it's in our emotions, or whether it's in our sex life. Like, I want to have different experiences that we can go, never want to try that again. Or like, wow, that's something that we both really enjoyed. Yeah. And I think if you start the conversation from there, there's so much understanding, there's so much compassion. And then that little piece that I threw in there, like, we may go, wow, I don't know that I want to do that again. It gives her permission to not like stuff, or him. You know, it gives you guys as a couple this idea that you're on a journey, because that's the truth, right? Like, your sex life is not about the orgasms, it's about the journey. Right. And same with, you know, everything in life. It's like, it's about creating memories and experiences and bonding together and working together well. Yeah. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, I think that trust is so important when you're coming into that conversation, and just, you know, the point, like you were saying, is connection. Yeah. And not this orgasm or the most amazing sex I've ever had. Yeah. But it's like,
which is great if you have that.
Right.
But you can't just be chasing that all the time.
Right. It's good. It's great. All right. Next question. This one's good because I feel like, I don't know. I just would love to hear your thoughts on this. I feel like I was like, man, I wish I would have asked this question too. But the difference in time to rest and let God make the way versus time to step up and make it happen. I feel like if I had to like rephrase it, it'd be like, how do I know when I'm like to just keep going? Like, oh, I need to push myself, or okay, I need to take care of myself, take a step back. Yeah. Like, how do you know the difference?
Yeah. Trial and error. Right. I mean, sometimes it really is trial and error, right? Because we're learning God's voice. And I don't know anybody, including my dad, that's like, well, there it was right there. Just nailed it perfectly every time. And so I think there's pain points on either side of, wow, I'm doing too much, and oh, I'm not doing anything. Right. And I think when you start to pay attention to like the season you're in and what you feel like you're responsible for, where your conviction lies inside of that season, and then on top of that, like what you feel like God wants you to do, we should be paying attention as we're going and course correcting. There's lots of times, just so many times, when I feel like I'll give you an example. Last year, building BraveCo was insane. I mean, everything was fly by the seat of our pants, right? Because it's a startup. So there's no history. There's no like, oh, we do this conference every year. No, we do this challenge every year. And oh, here's our systems for blah, blah, blah. So we're creating them. And there's so much course correction in that, which is good and painful. And then there's opportunity everywhere, because just life is full of opportunities. So it's like, oh, we could go do this conference over here. We could do this thing over here. And so last year was a fruitful and painful revelation of where, like, oh, I just did 3 things that I don't need to be doing.
Yeah.
And the very thing that I really need to be doing, I haven't been doing. Oh, shoot. There's pain points on both sides of those. So to me, it's like people often look in this sort of like black and white world of like, oh, I wasn't doing enough, I need to be doing more, or, oh, I'm doing too much, I'm burned out. For me, it's like, listen to the feedback.
Yeah.
And the feedback can come in lots of different forms. It can come from God going like, hey, you got to plant something in order to grow something. Yeah. Or it could be like God going, hey, you got to slow down. Or it can simply be like, wow, I'm tired all day, every day.
Right.
That's feedback.
Right.
Or my wife going, hey, it's good to meet you, stranger. I'm like, oh, shoot. Is that where we're at? Right. So I feel like in my life, I model course correction and feedback a lot. And I have different places where I'm getting that feedback from. Again, like I get feedback literally from our employees and the partners, Eric and Michael are giving me lots of feedback like, hey, we need more from you, or man, we can't keep pivoting, or hey, we need another idea, go push. Yeah. And because it's not black or white, it's not like, hey, don't do anything in your season. Right. When have you heard God say, don't do anything anywhere? Right. It's almost always, hey, I'm not in that thing, that one thing. I'm in this thing.
Yeah.
Grow, push forward, move forward. And so to me, it's in the multitude of counselors, there's wisdom. Mm-hmm. And I don't know really any other way of knowing what's too much except for to be doing too much and listening and go, oh, that's too much. And then you learn it. Yeah. Or having people speak in your life, or continuing to ask God and press in with God, Yeah. So for me, that's the balance. Mm-hmm. It's rarely ever is it you're in a season where you're not supposed to do anything. Right. Like that's so rare. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think of like just pushing when I feel like being afraid of failure will kind of freeze you into those 2 things.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, I don't want to do it because I don't want to overdo it. And then I'm going to take care of myself, but then I don't do anything. And it's like, you're just kind of stuck. But what you're saying is, hey, let it give you feedback, from your experience, it's going to talk to you back and be like, and trust that you can pay attention and hear that.
Yeah. So for me, a sign that you're not doing enough, you're bored, you feel purposeless, you're not challenged, you don't feel proud of your life. It's like, oh, what have you planted? What have you sown? So where are you working? So to me, those are like some signs. And then what are the signs that you're overworking? You can have anxiety. You can feel very fatigued. You can feel overwhelmed. You feel lonely a lot of times because you're doing stuff all on your own. So, I think when you start to understand the symptoms, then we course correct through all those different emotions. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Cool.
Hey, heads up. Yeah. Just make sure that you're talking into your mic.
Got it. Right here. Women making the first move on men. Is that all right?
Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with it. We love our rules. We love these rules. Yeah. Like the guy always does X thing first. Not always true. And sometimes if a woman doesn't put herself out there, you don't get recognized or noticed. And my rule is a woman can't put herself out there or make the first move every time with that guy. Mm-hmm. So is it best if a guy pursues? Sure. Right. It's way safer for you if you're a woman.
Yep.
Is that always going to happen? No way. Yeah. Like how many cool experiences did I have when I was single where a girl was like, hey, how are you? What's your name? Where are you from?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this is a cool person. Like, this is a really cool human being.
Right.
And all of a sudden she was on my radar because it's advertising, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's marketing and advertising.
Mm-hmm.
You can't find somebody if they don't know that you're out there and available.
Right.
And so also, like, you don't have to do this radical move either.
Yeah.
You know, so what does it mean to like make the first move? I think sometimes it's just as simple as a starting conversation.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even go as far as to say like, oh, a woman couldn't like invite you out to lunch or something, or say, hey, I'm interested in getting to know you more, or like, yeah, feel free.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even go as far as say like, oh, a woman couldn't initiate holding hands or a kiss or something. It's just like at some point really quickly, you have to get both people buying in.
Right.
And then that guy has to understand how to lead.
Yeah.
Or you're going to feel real frustrated as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But to start it, nah.
Yeah. I mean, Olivia, my wife, she actually pursued me first.
She did?
Yeah. She's like, hey, there's this thing happening. You want to go with me? I was like, sure. But I was not interested. And then after a couple of times, I was like, this girl is amazing. She's awesome. And I think at that point, I just, I became the pursuer and kind of, I was a lot more interested, but I would have.
You'd overlook her.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so much. It's marketing and advertising.
Right.
How do they know that you're available and on the market and interested?
Right.
If they don't know.
I know.
And flirting is that too, right? Like flirting, that's where flirting comes in. I think flirting can be a really handy tool for single people that are putting out. I mean, flirting is a way to indirectly go, hey, you're kind of cute.
Yeah.
You think I'm cute without having to say those words. That's what flirting is. So incredibly fun, really effective. Keep it between unmarried people.
Yeah. Great. The church has hurt me. How do I find the right church for me?
Yeah. I mean, people are going to hurt you because, and you know this, like there's nobody that's perfect. So it depends on what you're looking for in a church. Like if you're looking for a group of perfect people who don't make mistakes, you're not going to find it.
Right.
So nowadays we have access to the internet. So, I mean, you can Google like, what church do you like? If you like Bethel Church, then what churches are like Bethel Church? What churches are affiliated with Bethel Church? I mean, we have a network of 300 or 400 or 500 churches at Bethel Church. So chances are there's a church close to your city or, a church that you can watch online. But to me, we'd have to dive more into like, why did you get hurt? And what did you do when you got hurt? And what are your expectations of church leaders? And just having been a pastor for so long, and by the way, I'm not like the senior pastor that preaches every week. So a lot of people wouldn't know that there are churches that aren't like that. So I'm one of 50 pastors on staff. But having been a pastor for so long, people, and our church is 7,000 people. So it's a fairly large church. Yeah. People expect that you're going to, oh man, we're podcasting this, that you're going to treat them like family.
Yeah.
And that's not realistic.
Right.
Because I don't have 7,000 daughters and sons. And so, I can't come to your home. I can't eat lunch with everyone who wants to eat lunch. Right. I can't hear everyone's story. I can pray for you. I can hear your story in the time that I'm here. Right. I can give you input and advice, but your problem isn't my problem. Like I can't own it like I need to my kids. Right. Right. So there's that place of like the circles of intimacy that I don't even know if I've talked about it on this podcast, but there's places of responsibility that we all give people. And so for instance, like my kids, I'm really responsible for my kids. And my kids have access to my emotions, my finances, my time in a way that you don't.
Right.
But you have more access to me because you're a friend and you're an employee than somebody I don't know. Yeah. And I only have so much capacity. And so I have to find a way to decide who gets what. And so I also want to caution by saying, I know that oftentimes church people go to church to get something instead of give something.
Yeah, that's good.
And the pastor's not God. He's not your marriage counselor. Right. He's not responsible for your life. He is there to minister, to administrate to help facilitate like the word of God in you, the group, the actual meeting time, the connection between you and God, like creating a space where that can happen, and still healthy values and core values. But I think when we start looking at the church model, like each one of us are a different part of the body, right? Like the Bible says, and we have to do our part. So I have to come to church looking to do my part. And most people come looking to get their part taken care of. And my dad would say it like this. So when I was 13, I'm going on a long time about this, but this is important.
Yeah, I think so.
When I was like 13, I realized, youth group is so boring. I don't want to go to youth group anymore, which was a big deal. Like telling my dad I don't want to go to youth group anymore. I was so scared.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but it was so painful. Youth group was so painful. I had to.
Yeah. So
my dad comes home and I sit down on the bed next to him. I say like, Dad, I need to talk to you. And he's like, yeah. I said, I don't really want to go to youth group anymore. And he's like, oh, well, tell me why. My dad has these really intense eyes. He's like, oh, tell me why.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's boring. My dad hates boring. So I knew if I said boring, he would be like, yeah, I hate boring preaching.
Yeah.
But he was like, I was like, it's boring. The worship's terrible. Homeless people come in from outside, which is true. We had this guy named Bob that was always in the like spirit realm, but not like the good one. You know what I mean? Like after you take a few hits of peyote or something. Yeah. And he said, son, it sounds like you're going for yourself. Well, I thought he was saying like, it's good to go for yourself. Right. And I was like, yeah, I think I am, Dad. Oh, no. And he said, look at me, son. Yeah. So now I'm like focused on him. He said, going to church for yourself is the lowest level of living for a Christian. It's the baseline.
Dang.
I was crushed. I still remember it today. I was crushed.
Right.
I realized like, oh my gosh, like I'm that guy.
Yeah.
He said, son, people need you. They need what you have.
Right.
Like they're relying on you. You have a gift that no one else has. And I believed him.
Right.
That was the last time I went to church focused on me.
Powerful.
That's how I found what I love to do. Is I started to go and I was like, I need to find people that need my help. And I'd sit down and just listen to them. I didn't have like these great counseling tools. I was 13. I'm like, I don't rub some dirt on it, like drink some more water. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have these good tools.
Yeah.
But I was a great listener and I really wanted to help people. So that's when I started. And the reason why I bring all that up is going back to the very beginning of, hey, I got hurt at a church. My needs aren't being met.
Yeah.
How do I find another good church? If you don't have the right mindset, you can't find the right church. If you have a mindset that I'm going to go and I'm going to be fed so much, and these people are going to meet all of my needs, and I'm going to, like, do I get fed at church? Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But I don't show up at my own house just to get my needs met.
Mm-mm.
I show up, right? Like, one of the roles of a man is to produce more than you consume.
Right.
I'm looking to produce when I come home.
Yeah.
Who needs my affection? Who needs my time? Who needs my energy? Where can I help out? And I get my needs met along the way.
Right.
So do I ever go to church because I need something? Sure. I went through small seasons where I was like, oh man, I love prayer.
Yeah.
I love people listening to me. I need a hug sometimes, but man, the real life of being in community there is what I can give to God and what I can give to people. If you go with that, man, how do you go wrong?
That's so good, Jay.
Yeah,
I feel like I want to go to church right now.
Right?
Man.
Were you feeling that?
Yeah. I mean, I think, growing up, I grew up in South Texas, and you don't see men in the church.
Yeah.
It's all women. And I'm sure, that's probably normal in most places. But that's another thing I loved about our church, is that you see men that are there and they're showing up, and I think it's because, they've bought into, oh, I'm here to contribute. Yeah. I'm here to find purpose. And I think that's, and it's not this like, I think men have a role in actually learning how to provide, protect, what we talk about here at BraveCo. Like, I think that is just so powerful to find their role in a church and actually feel championed, and then, be able to just love on younger men, or, just be able to mentor, or whatever it looks like, serve. Yeah. So
have a place.
Yeah. It's powerful. I mean,
it is.
Yeah. We need more men in the church. So, I mean, and it's not, it's not only for you, like you're saying, Jay, it's, it's something that you get to find tools, bring them back home, bring them in your workplace, and, change the world that way.
It's true.
All right. Next question. How to set boundaries with my mom as I transition from single to married? This is a good one. You're mama's baby boy, and then this woman just snatched you. So.
Yeah, I love it. So, man, hopefully this happens long before you get married. And that's the truth, right? Is that part of the maturing process of life is that we are constantly adjusting and readjusting our relationship with the people around us. So, let's just start at a baby. You're completely dependent. You are dependent. You need your parents all the time. Wipe your butt, feed you, decide when you wake up, when you go to sleep. I mean, that's it. Right. And man, if you never mature out of that stage, right? Yeah. You are immature. Then you move into the next phase, which is independence, right? And so my daughter's starting to say like, no, I do it. No, I do it. And I'm like, whoa. You can get your own piece of chicken. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. She's 2.5. So she wants to know that she can do it. She's building confidence. And I'm there to help facilitate that. But if she stays in that phase forever and never lets me help her and only wants to do her own thing, well, that's also immaturity. So, right, she's going to graduate into this interdependent world where I lend my strength to her, she lends her strength to me, but also she starts to put me in different places in her life. So me being her dad, I'm responsible to provide, protect, and promote her. As she grows up, gets older, finds a man, that man's going to step into the role of provision, protection, promotion. Right. And I will still do that, but on a much different level. I'm not going to be putting food on her table when she's married. Right. I'm not going to be making sure that her doors are locked. This is going to be a much different role. That's going to be her husband's role. Right. And if my daughter didn't put me in that place, if she still expected me to come through for her financially, come through for her physically, like, Dad, I don't feel very safe with this new guy, it's like, well, that's his job. Like, we start to get in this really weird relationship and I see it. So here's what happens in sons and moms often is the mom is pulling on him or he's pulling on her for their emotional stability. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because they probably have, or she has a dependent or codependent relationship with him. Right. So he has to start stepping out of that role of husband. Yeah. Because that's what it moves into. Right. It's not just father, son. Often it's mom's giving me emotions that she should be giving to a husband. And I'm playing the role of protector, provider, promoter for mom. Tough spot to be in. You're not supposed to be in that spot. Right. And so, she should get the boundaries book or he should get the boundaries book. Townsend and Cloud are the ones who wrote the boundaries book. It's incredible. Yeah. Read it, learn it, understand it, execute it, and even explain to your mom, like sit down and be super kind and be like, man, Mom, this is a role that I've played in your life for so long and I can't do that anymore. So he's going to have to be okay with her not being okay. Right. Tough place to be. But, you have to make space for your wife. And women, you have to put a demand on your husband. You have to make space for your husband. You can't be married to your dad and your husband. I've counseled lots of people like that. And it's just such a painful experience. A husband's not supposed to be in competition with his father-in-law. Dang. Or vice versa. Right. It doesn't work. It creates animosity. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, dude.
There's a question that kind of can...
Was that your own personal question?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to cut that out for myself.
Hey, BraveCo men, I want to talk to you about our Foundations of Masculinity 12-week video series that we created for the guy that wants to grow stronger as a man. If you want to become a better leader, a better father, a better husband, have better relationships, this course is for you. And here's the thing. You get 12 incredible videos that literally walk you through step by step on how to grow. You also have homework with each one that is honestly pretty effective. And lastly, you get access to our private Facebook group. We're on there chatting with you guys. You can ask questions. You can connect with other men that are just like you. Go to braveco.org to check it out, and you can sign up today.
How do I process resentment towards my spouse without hurting them?
Yeah. Okay, my question back is, do you know how to express your needs to your spouse in real time? Yeah. Because the possible challenge in their relationship is that he or she isn't giving real-time feedback. So resentment, different than frustration or pain. Resentment is this built up, right? Like, I resent you. You always come in late. You never listen to what I have to say. Right. Does that make sense? So that word there, resentment, to me is like, if I do a much better job as a husband of going, ooh, hey babe, today I felt some pain. Yeah. I felt some pain. I did it to my wife this morning. Yeah. I had a conversation with my son last night, and Lauren was at the table, and while I was talking to him, she was like, she was nodding her head, no, just at me, just to where I could see. And I was like, ooh, it felt kind of painful. Yeah. And so the next morning, which was this morning, I just said, hey, I don't want to leave this and forget it. It's not that big of a deal. But last night when I was talking to our son, you were shaking your head no. And it felt pretty painful because I thought we were on the same page. And I thought this was what you had asked me to do, is have this conversation with him. But then you're telling me like, No, don't do it.
Right.
So she clarified. And regardless of who was right there, it doesn't really matter, right? Like if I'm feeling any emotion that I'm feeling, I should be able to express to my wife. Mm-hmm. It's not how I want to feel. It's not what I'm trying to feel. It's just what I feel.
Right.
So I wasn't trying to feel hurt. I wasn't wanting to feel hurt. I just felt hurt.
Right.
And if I'm able to express that in a loving, caring way, she doesn't have to take it like she did something wrong.
Right.
She can just go, oh, fact. She's a scientist, right? She could go, oh, fact. Something I did hurt him. Mm-hmm. Great. Let me clarify. Or, wow, yeah, I really did do something painful. Yeah. And so to me, it's more about how do you create an ecosystem of health, communication, connection. How do you do conflict well so that you don't end up in resentment and just constantly fixing resentments every 3 weeks? Because that's a lot of people's cycle, right? Is like, we do fine. We're only fine because I'm not really sharing. And then when it gets painful enough, I finally share. But then when I share, it's so painful that I'm exploding.
Yeah.
And then we have this makeup, right? Then we're in this honeymoon period. And then you do the same things that you always do. Yeah. Because you don't get real feedback.
Right.
And I do the same thing that I always do. And then we blow up again.
Yeah.
So I would say you got to learn how to share your emotions in real time.
Yeah.
And that's a challenging thing to do.
Yeah.
The other piece to what do you do if you are resentful? Do what we talked about in the beginning. Start with the end in mind.
Yeah.
So it's, hey, babe, you're my favorite person on the planet. There's nothing better than feeling so connected and so cared for by you. I am having this conversation to get to that place. I'm realizing I'm carrying some resentment, which isn't necessarily your fault. Yeah. I've got these things going on inside of me. I'm hurting. I'd love to share those with you. Man, you just like lobbed it in a way that she could go, oh man, wow, tell me about that. Right. And you could, you can do it. So write it out if you have to. Yeah. Don't be lazy about it. Write it out if you need to. But you have to keep that principle in mind, right? Like start soft. Mm-hmm. Start intentional. And then talk about you. So that's the other rule is so often I'm talking about you instead of about me. So I'm going, here's just what you do. Yeah. Here's what you do. Do you know what you do? This is what you do. I hate it when people tell me what I do. Yeah. It feels so judgmental. Yeah. And here's what you don't understand. Oh man, if you want to get in a fist fight with anyone, you don't even have to say anything. All you have to say is, here's what you don't understand. And then pow, you're in a fist fight just like that. It's so provoking. Mm-hmm. So if I start in with, hey babe, want to have this great conversation with you. I want to feel connected at the end. I'm even a little nervous to do this, right? Like you start with that and then you say like, I have been feeling some pain. And I've been feeling some pain because I've been feeling ignored and overlooked. And I feel like I don't matter in a way that I want to matter to you. Right. And it's really painful. And here's some examples. I was talking the other day. You walked right past me. I said your name. You didn't acknowledge. I felt so much pain. Mm-hmm. I still haven't said you don't ever listen to me. You don't want to listen to me. You try to do everything else all day long besides listen to me. Like those are judgments. Right. Because no one ever does anything all the time. Right. So if I just talk about me, what's going on in me, how I'm feeling, why I'm feeling that way, me. Anybody can listen to that. Right. And it makes you want to help that. Right. Because you're like, yeah, I could see how you got there. Yeah. Dang. But as soon as you say you know what you do? It's like we have to fight that. Yeah. It's like human nature to go, you can't touch my eye without me punching you.
Right.
You just can't.
No.
You don't have access to that. You don't get to touch my eye.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like when you say you. You're like, oh. So
yeah,
try those.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I think like what you're talking about, just short accounts is so hard to do.
It is, man.
So hard. And you know, I think I didn't grow up that like, I don't know, that quick to just share, you know, and maybe I did when I was younger and it didn't turn out well. So then I was like, I'm not doing that ever again, you know, but you know, most of the time my wife is for me, you know, she wants to hear it. She wants to like, and you know, I think also we've had conversations about this in particular, cause I think it's something that scares me, but I think, especially when you don't share it, like you were saying, 2 months goes by, bro, and you say you got this whole story.
You got this whole story.
I'm so convinced,
about this villain that you're living with.
Right.
It's crazy how we do that.
It's crazy, and it's not true.
No,
and it's not fair for her, you know. And you know, every little thing. Oh,
yeah.
But you know, it's so important to do that. And I think what's been helpful for me too is just being able to just talk to someone about it, a buddy of mine or something. And, you know, it usually comes down to, well, have you told her? Yeah. Like, oh,
dang. Yeah. So I have to?
Yeah. But no, that's powerful. What is the woman's role in healing the narrative about men, like men in society today?
That's a great question. I think on an individual level, I'm like, pray for men. You know, honor men, encourage them.
Yeah.
Like in a, you know, you don't got to like run and encourage random men, but like the men that are in your life, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like encourage them. But I think the prayer piece is the biggest piece. And then also there's things like, which is going to sound really promotional, but we're doing this stuff to give men tools to help grow them, equip them, empower them, heal them, like send them our way, you know, promote the stuff we're doing, champion some of this stuff or whatever, Wild at Heart, you know, champion those guys, like give men access to places where they can really get taken care of.
Right.
And, you know, to me, those are the biggest pieces.
Yeah. I mean, you know, being able to do the podcast stuff and social media and stuff, like, you know, it's so powerful to see women sharing our stuff. And then, you know, them being like, I just shared it with my husband, you know, and he's having, you know, so much breakthrough or just understanding of who he is. And he's a different man at home, you know.
It happens all the time. Powerful. Women are signing men up for our events. Wives are signing men up for our programs. I mean, it happens all the time.
Right.
And it's awesome.
Right. Yeah. That advocate piece is huge. You know, I think men listen to women. That's true.
It's so true. Well, we're used to it, right? Yeah. 80% of all the spending in a home is done from the wife.
Right.
So we're so used to like, hey, I bought you some new clothes. Oh, great. Hey, I bought this food. Hey, I signed you up for a discipleship program. Right. Wait, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
we're used to it.
Yes. Powerful. All right. What are some tips on supporting someone with a porn addiction?
Yeah, we don't support porn addictions. No, I'm just kidding. It depends on your role in their life. So again, I think encouraging them to do what they've probably never done before. And somebody with a porn addiction, my guess is that they're probably trying to solve this on their own. And that's very ineffective.
Yeah.
Because the antidote to addiction is not sobriety, it's connection. Yeah. And if they could have done this on their own, they probably would have. So we've seen so many men go through our discipleship programs and get well. And I'm not saying, hey, this is the only way. Like, go get counseling.
Yeah.
The Transformation Center in Redding, so Bethel Transformation Center, has an incredible addiction program. Incredible. It's a 9-month program. I think you pay $3,500 or something, which guys are like, $3,500? Yeah, how much is that addiction costing you?
Right.
I can prove to you that it's costing you more than that.
Right.
Even if the porn you're looking at is free.
Right.
Monetarily, I could prove it's costing you more than that. So, you know, to me, it's a matter of raise the standard. For the guys in my life, I'm raising the standard, which the standard isn't, hey, don't look at porn. That's okay. That's a start. The standard to me is like, let's live up to the high calling of God in our lives. So it's, what are you doing for your emotional health? How are you talking to your wife? How's your relationship with your kids? Like, I have 12 guys that I meet with on my own. Those are the conversations I'm having with them on a regular basis. I'm not, and we could talk about porn or we could talk about our temptations. That's fine. But I want to be on offense. Yeah. I want to live a life of offense. So defense is like, I don't want to be triggered. I don't want to be tempted. I don't want to be, okay, there's a place for that. And I'm not saying like, ooh, that's so below me. Yeah. But living from victory says, I'm a man of purpose who is on a mission to restore other men, right? I'm just talking about me, right. To restore other men. I have a family that will know that they're loved because I will tell them. I have kids that will have healthy identity because I will pour it into them. So I'm on a daily mission to do that. Other stuff that's trying to pull me in those different directions is a distraction. I wouldn't say porn is as like, because we would like to say like, oh, it's repulsive. Well, I feel tempted like other guys do. It's just not even an option. Yeah. And it's not an option because twice a week, I'm going to be training other men. Yeah. I'm going to be on big calls. I'm going to be teaching or preaching at the church or the school or on a Zoom. I'm going to be leading my family. Like I don't even have time for it. Yeah. It doesn't work in my world because I have to be so honest in my world, right? When I taught at the School of Ministry yesterday to 500 students who are 18 to 80 years old, my life is on display. Right. I'm talking about emotional health. I'm talking about emotional regulation. I'm talking about clean up your past. I'm handing out tools. Like there is no creep in my values. Right. There's no room for it. So I think a lot of men get stuck in the first level of sobriety, which is like the defense. Like I'm going to get sober because I am constantly on alert for all these things that I need to stay away from. And to me, there's another level of graduation. Okay. And that next level of graduation is, what am I living for? What am I responsible for? What mission am I on? Yeah. And then I'm preparing for that mission, right? So I'm getting tools and I'm working on it and I'm responsible for it and I'm accountable to my friends for this high calling, not the small, which means because of the mission I'm on, I'm sharing my emotions with guys every week. Yeah. I'm current with my wife. I am hearing feedback from my kids, young and old. I'm making adjustments. I have teams, multiple teams around me giving me feedback. Yeah. I've got my BraveCo team. I've got my family. I've got my 12 guys. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm like, guys, listen, position yourself in an offensive way. Go and win. Yeah. Yes, you have to be on the defense sometimes, but a basketball team that's only focused on defense is going to lose every game.
Yeah.
You have to have a great offense. You have to be a world champion team, not a number one defense team.
Yeah.
So the goal isn't to have the best defense. The goal is to have the best offense.
Right.
It's to win the games. So if you want to win the game, you're going to have good defense.
Yeah.
So for me, I have good defense but focused on offense. So all that to say, if somebody's struggling with porn, help them to take action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It could be as simple as, let's write down the vision, where you want to go in life. Now that won't fix your problem, but that should help give you some motivation to like, okay, let's get serious about your life. Go on the offense. Go get some counseling. Go on the offense. Sign up for our 12-week discipleship course with BraveCo.
Yeah.
Like the foundations of masculinity. Like go deep with a group of guys and build your life.
Right.
Don't just quit porn. Like build a life that you're proud of.
Mm-hmm.
A life that's worth saying, not no to porn, but yeah, I'm going to work on my emotional regulation. Yeah, I'm going to face the trauma in my past. I'm going to go after all the roots that's driving this porn issue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be the man. I'm going to reach my full potential.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell an Olympic athlete, like, don't eat bad.
Right.
You don't have to tell a professional baseball player, like, wake up and go to practice.
Mm-hmm.
They're focused on winning.
Yeah.
So everything else is a non-negotiable.
Right.
So to me, I'm like, get your friend focused on winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, it makes me think of, if I could even try to simplify that, it's like a bad habit and just replace the habit with a good habit. And
Yeah.
we went through tiny habits and that was just powerful, but like you're setting up this whole ecosystem for the life that you actually want.
Yep.
And there's no room for these bad habits, these things that regulated you in the past, you actually got great, you're on the offense again.
Yep.
And it works for any addiction, like any bad habit. Being able to have the right tools and ecosystem around you, join a run club, join, whatever, doing keto, whatever it is, whatever your goals are and whatever you're trying to actually accomplish. I think being able to set that ecosystem up, it's like a head start.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite tiny habits that I do even now is I put my running shoes right by the door. Yeah. Right when I wake up, they're already there and I'm ready to go. And it's a head start for me. There's less of an option for me to actually just jump on the couch.
I do the same for working out. I put all of my clothes for the morning in one spot. Mm-hmm. So that at 5:30 when my alarm goes off and I don't want to get out of bed, I've already got my stuff ready. Mm-hmm. I don't have to negotiate with myself. Right. All I have to do is get out of bed. Yep. The rest takes care of itself.
Right. Cool hack, man. I love it. It's super helpful. All right, we're coming towards the end of this. How do I navigate being on a break in a relationship? So I guess they're not broken up, but they're just on a break. Or
maybe they should be.
Yeah. I never really understood a break.
It can happen. So a break happens sometimes because you get somebody that's like, man, I'm not sure, like, especially if a lot of stuff's going on in their life. Like you remember when your brother passed away,
right?
If you had just been dating your wife for a little bit and you're not sure which way is up, right? You're like, I don't want to just blow up everything in my life. Like, right. Can we just pause for a little bit? Yeah. And let me just focus on this piece and then come back. Mm-hmm. So that can be a break.
Makes sense.
A break can be, I'm dealing with some inner healing. Are you good with waiting for a little bit until I work through this stuff? Like that can be a pretty responsible thing. Yeah. To just go pause. And we talk about that a lot in the dating world, is like you're climbing this ladder, and the further you go up this ladder, the deeper the intimacy. Mm-hmm. And the deeper the trust. So sometimes you get to this place in this ladder, like the first rung of the ladder is are you fun? Right? Like, who wants to go out with somebody that's not fun?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just real. Like, if you don't have fun with somebody, but they're like smoking hot, just don't do it.
Right.
It's just not going to be fun. It'll get old.
Right.
So then it's like, are they safe? Right? Like number two. And because you don't want to be with someone who doesn't know how to listen to you. Safe could simply be, I'm not talking about like physically abuse. I'm saying like, do they know how to ask questions, and do they know how to listen to your boundaries? Or was the person talking over you the whole time? And did they try to give you a kiss when you like first date, you know, and things like that. So as you climb the rungs of the ladder, like they have their own relationship with God. They have healthy core values. They have a vision for their life, right? And as you're figuring these things out, we're going the same direction, you build more trust and more intimacy. Yeah. Well, sometimes you get to these places where you go like, is my relationship with God, or is my belief system in that area, my spirituality, compatible with yours? And you go, ooh, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like, I value this so much, and you kind of dabble in it. Man, I don't know if that's going to be deal breaker or not. Like, we need to just pause right here and figure this thing out. So that can be real.
Yeah.
What we want to do is do a great job of communicating. What is the break about?
Right.
And why? Because this ambiguity, this like, I just need time, and with no reevaluation points, with very little communication, it's just the breeding ground for anxiety. It's a breeding ground for suspicion, hopelessness. And so it's like, we're adults. And this is what I told Lauren when we were dating. Like, I'm 29 years old. I'm not 16 anymore. So if you need something, if this isn't working how you want it to, if you're confused, like, let's handle it like adults. Like, you tell me where you're at and what you're feeling. And it could be really emotional. Like, that's part of being an adult.
Right.
So I think clarity, communication, maybe what do we do if we can't figure it out by this point? Oh, we probably need to bring someone else in. You know, it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The places where people get really hurt is when there's no real clarity, there's no real plan, there's no real understanding. It's like, who wants to stick around for that?
Yeah. Right.
Not me.
Yeah. I mean, I have some friends that took breaks and they've come back, you know, and got married, you know, whatever. And I could see how that is just a powerful time to just kind of reevaluate where you're at, what you need. And I think the communication part is huge, you know, because, you know, I've also had friends that are like, I don't know, do I call her? Do I text her? Do I, you know, what do I do?
And that stuff's foolish.
Yeah.
It's foolish. When you're 16, it's not foolish. Right. But when you're an adult, you just need to be able to talk about those. Hey, I don't want to have to guess when to call you. Right. I don't want to guess what's okay for you. What is it? Right. What is it? Right. Because that's probably why you're on a break, is you're guessing a lot. You're not on the same page. Right. There's no security. There's no real intentionality. It's too ambiguous. It's too organic. Yeah. Organic's fun in food. It's fun in fruit. Organic is great for a lot of things in life. Organic is not great for a committed relationship. It's just not. Yeah. Like, I don't know if we get there, we get there. I don't know if it happens, it happens. I don't know if it's like, well, where does that work anywhere in life? You don't start a business and be like, I don't know if it grows, it grows. I don't know. It's like intentionality is the way, structure, communication. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Well, let's see. Last question here. You ready?
Yeah.
How can I pursue my wife? How can I bring her into an adventure?
It's a great question. marriage in and of itself is this incredible adventure that is overwhelming and exciting and just full of all the emotions, right?
Yeah.
So the first question would be to them, are you engaged in your marriage day to day?
Mm-hmm.
And in building your marriage day to day? Are you guys are you growing your communication? Are you growing your sex life? Are you growing your connection? Are you being intentional about addressing those areas in your life or creating space for that, right? Do you have goals?
Yeah.
So what are you working on this next week that you weren't working on before? It's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That, because I think a one-off, like anybody could do a one-off trip. Anybody can do a one-off, like, hey, let's go to Paris and we have this adventure. But if it starts and stops in a week, you know, your adventures that you're on needs to be a part of the grand adventure of life. And the grand adventure of life is you are conscious, you are intentional, you are an active participant, you are a leader in the everyday, day in, day out of your life.
Right.
So really practically, and listen, I'm growing at this. I'm not like perfect at this.
Yeah.
So when I get home, I know the schedule my kids are on. My littles are like, I know when they're supposed to wake up every day. I know when they're supposed to take naps every day. Mm-hmm. And I'm aware of what their week looks like. So when I come home, I can partner with my wife. And every night I ask, where's Liam at in his nap? So when did he take his nap today? Early, late?
Yeah.
Is he super tired? Because I want to be a partner in our adventure.
Right.
And part of our adventure is laying on the ground, playing with toys with Liam and building stuff. And this morning, you know, Lauren was like, hey, can you go get Edie out of bed? And we have a routine every morning. Mm-hmm. I play with her with stuffed animals and I bring Liam in there. I set him in the crib and they play together for a while. And I stay right there and I play with him. And by the end of it, they're just piled in these stuffed animals because I do whatever. I'm playing with them. And then I bring her out and him out. And sometimes I sit in the chair and read a book to her. And I'm a part of building what is enjoyable in our life.
Yeah.
I'm engaged in it. Mm-hmm. And that's part of how I pursue my wife. Mm-hmm. Now, there's other ways that I could pursue her better and continue. Like I can't not plan dates and I can not plan free time for her. But I can plan all the dates I want. If I'm not engaged in our everyday, day in and day out life, man, she just feels so lonely. Yeah. She's doing it all.
Right.
So for me, it's, you know, it's about being intentional. It's about prioritizing and I'm growing in some of those areas. Yeah. Constantly. Yeah. But I'm better this year than I was last year. That's the truth. Right. And I'm 20 times better. I'm a completely different man than when we first got married. Yeah. 10 years ago. Yeah. Completely different. Not even the same guy. Oh. Her and I have a routine that I clean up after dinner, not even thinking about it. It's just something I like to do now. I didn't like to do that before. Yeah. I mean, it's just so I can take on cooking dinner after she started it, or I can take the kids, or like I am a fully functioning, you know what I mean? Right. I can just step into almost any role that she's in and take over and do that. And we're teammates. When I get home, we're teammates. Yeah. And when I leave, before I leave in the morning, we're teammates. Mm-hmm. When I wake up, I'm cooking breakfast or she is. I'm getting the kids dressed or she is. And to me, like, the biggest adventure is the one that you live every single day. Yeah. So show up there. That's great. And it makes tons of room for the other stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, it makes me think of something John Eldredge says. It's like, you know, going the journey for your heart to recapture your heart, like that's an adventure, like one of the greatest adventure you can go on. But
It's true.
like to be able to do something like that, be as whole as you can, be as present as you can, then share that with your wife. And then with that, you can be as present and aware and pursuing her in ways that you would have never even thought naturally, you know. And I think that, you know, I love what you said too, you know, you're like, I'm getting better at it. It's like, it's a journey of bringing her on an adventure, you joining her adventures, and you guys having this life that is just exciting, you know, and especially for your kids to see is like, man, life just gets more full and exciting and fun, and there's no end to it. But you know, we're here and we're present, you know, you're alive. And
it's true.
It's great.
It's awesome. Well, Tim, thank you for jumping on and the questions. Guys, thank you for sending them in. They were great. And we'll do this again. But until next week, stay brave.
Stay brave.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to the BraveCo podcast. If you like this podcast, would you please rate it, review it, leave us a great comment. And if you like this episode in particular, share it with your friends and family. That helps us to spread the word. Guys, stay brave. We'll see you next week.